Is remote work going away? I know a lot of people are curious out there. The economy's changing, things are, shifting. So many layoffs are happening, and a lot of companies are saying we're going back into the office. We all saw the whole, Twitter mess with Elon Musk complaining about remote work, telling people they have to come back into the office, then shifting his opinion. We see every single day stories about companies going back to the office or layoffs, and so people are worried, is remote work going away? So in this video, this is actually a panel discussion with myself and a few of my remote work advocate friends where we talk about, is remote work going away, and why or why not, and what do we think people should do in this current labor market. I'm joined by Dethra Giles of ExecuPrep and Kaleem Clarkson of Bloomy Inc. Before we get into that, I do want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so that you get notified every time I post new content. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Ooh, 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 ooh. Let me see everybody Friday dance. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, they're going to love that on the replay. My name is Libria Jones. It's Friday. We're in the Quick Commuting Academy really, really fast. The Quick Commuting Academy, for those of you who are watching this replay or those of you who are new to the Academy, is our community for job seekers, for people who want to work remotely or want to get new jobs remotely. We do have some people who already work remotely. And we have a whole lot in the community. We have free events, we have free resources, but we also have a paid community as well. So our full access members get monthly coaching sessions. They get a monthly resume review. They get a monthly LinkedIn review. They get a monthly job search strategy session and coaching calls as well. And they get access to our replays. So you can always go into the community and upgrade to full access at any time. There's a little button that you click and that's it. That's all you have to do. And it is a monthly fee, so you can cancel it at any time. So get in there, get what you need, get out. Well, I won't be mad about it at all. You know what I'm saying? Today's conversation I'm really, really excited about because I feel like there's just so much gloom and doom being posted all over the place. You log into LinkedIn every single day. Actually, one of my friends the other day said the posts about layoffs is like checking the weather. It's like every single day, like who laid somebody off today, right? It's like, what's the weather today in the job market? And so a lot of people are afraid that remote work's going away. And, I get that question a lot. Is remote work going away? Is it, going to be a thing? And so I wanted to bring my friends here to talk about it, right? And share our opinions. We've all been in this space for quite a while. And so today we're going to talk about, is remote work really going away and what people should do? Cool?
Cool.
Y'all ready for this? Are y'all ready for this? I'm going to put a note in the community to let everybody know we are live and we are here and we are ready. And then I will come back and do these intros. Give me just a second. Y'all listen to me type for just a moment.
And you have the angriest type I've ever heard about.
I do not. I just have
It's the nails. It's always like when we travel together, talking about working remotely, we always travel together. And I'm like, I can hear you typing from the bathroom.
The angry type woman now? That's what we got now? The angry type woman? Come on.
Join us now. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do this link. I was going to do the link from the event, but I'm going to do the link straight to this. Come on in.
So come on in.
Come on in my room. I had to reach back for that one. Listen. Okay. All right. I posted it. People will show up when they show up and they can catch the replay as well. Let's get started. I want to first start with street cred. Like, I want y'all to, drop us your street cred. Why should people listen to you? I will tell you guys, for me, y'all know me. I'm the founder of this community. And I have been doing this for a very long time, very, very long time. I've been working remotely since 2008. And I've been teaching people how to work remotely since 2015. It's been a while. I took a group of people around the world for a whole year, and quite a few of those people I helped get remote jobs, and I helped them convince their employer to let them work remotely. I have personally worked remotely in every way there is to work remotely. I have been a freelancer. I've been hired as a W-2 employee. I've started a digital business, and I convinced my employer to work remotely. So that's my career. What's yours, Dethra?
So I am old school remote work. I'm so old school that when I first started talking about remote work, it was just called work from home. That was what people thought. So since about 2006, I've worked with different companies to help them implement remote work processes. I've done it myself, even started a remote only company in 2007 that I run today called Executive Prep, and have literally worked all around the world remotely. And I'm the co-founder of the Quit Commuting Conference that's coming up this year.
That. Co-founder and co-host of the biggest remote work conference for job seekers, Quit Commuting, which is happening August 10th through the 12th. Y'all come through. All right, what's your street cred? Drop your cred.
My street cred. Let's see. So my partner and I started a firm called Bloomy Inc. in 2013. We are a fractional people operations consultancy that specializes in remote and hybrid remote workplaces. And I've done some things, talked to some people, you know what I mean? We've been doing this for a while. We originally used the term telework to encompass everything. And it's just been interesting how things have changed since 2013 till now. And we've been talking a lot about it for a while. Yes.
It's so interesting. I feel like when this whole thing first started, like nobody knew what I was talking about. Like, what do you do? I remember going into Panera in the middle of the day sometimes and thinking, like, what did these people do? When I had a what I like to call cubicle company job, I worked at a cubicle company. I would go into Panera to get grab lunch or just grab some coffee, and people just posted up. I'm like, what do they do? What do they do that you get to hang out in Panera in the middle of the day, right? And now I'm those people. It's really, really cool. So I'm gonna get right into it, right? I know that people want to know, hey, Jamisa, hey, Genesis, hey, Kenya, hey, Crystal. Hey, y'all, thanks for joining. Feel free to drop a note in the comments. Drop the answer to this question in the comments for the people watching. Do you think remote work is going away? Yes or no? Let me know, let us know in the comments, and we're gonna answer that question. I feel like we should just get right to it. We don't have to wait. We don't have to bury the lead. Let's just answer the question. Is remote work going away, Dethra?
So I think, and you all know how I am, I'm always like, what is the real question people are asking? And if we're going to answer that question with integrity, we have to dive down to what's the question people are really asking. And the question they really want to know is remote work going away for me? And the answer to that question is, it depends. It depends on what your company is doing. So let's talk globally. Globally, remote work is not going away, and it's likely going to expand because many organizations are recognizing the financial benefits of not having people come into an office. That's money saved on real estate. Now, think globally, act locally. Locally, you have to find out what your organization is doing because remote work may be going away for you.
Right. Yep. So y'all heard that. Y'all heard that? Is it going away for you? For you. Kaleem, what is your answer?
I would say that I'm a big stats person. You know, I love statistics. And like when you look at the research prior to the pandemic, and I think Flex Jobs has a really cool graph on this, you can see this increase from, I want to see even like the 80s, a consistent increase, whether it's 1%, 2%. Over the years. And then now shout out Nick Bloom because he seems like he's out there just grinding on all the research. Good for him. Shout out Stanford, do your thing. You're seeing I think his recent post a month ago or something like that. The amount of the pandemic kind of it exacerbated the speed of adoption of remote work by like 20 or 30 years. I don't have the stats right because I'm not looking at it because I'm trying to be here for y'all, but do your Googling. The amount of increase that's happened in just 3 years is equivalent to something like 20 years. So I think I agree with Dietrich. It's not going anywhere. And in fact, I feel like this hybrid thing, this hybrid thing is just the beginning. The hybrid thing is really what leadership wants.
Yeah.
When you look at what individuals want, they want choice. It was kind of funny. I was talking to someone recently, a pitch when I was giving a pitch recently for a client, and they're like, "Oh, we're hybrid," and I kind of chuckle at that because before the pandemic, hybrid was very clear as to what that was. You have people that go into the office that work Monday through Friday in the office, 8 to 5, whatever, and then you had a group of people that work fully remote outside of that. So there was no confusion as to what hybrid was at all.
Yeah.
Like, everybody understood that. So now that more people have experienced it, I have a feeling that people are going to realize that the hybrid thing is kind of BS. They're making us come into the office for no reason. And I think the organizations that are smart are going to see through that and start moving towards a more, if you are going to be hybrid, to me, it's like 100% choice. Like, here is a space, come whenever you want, versus like a number of times. So absolutely not. I don't think it's going anywhere. And in fact, I think it's going to go even more forward than what it has been going.
And even to kind of piggyback on what Kaleem said, it's becoming a competitive edge. And so I'm, again, going back to how long I've been doing this, I remember when companies offered insurance was like, oh, it was a competitive edge. You wanted to get, because every company didn't offer insurance, but it got to a point. Yes, there was a time when every company did not offer benefits like insurance. It became a competitive. That's why you have this thing. You have people say a good government job. That's how the government got this reputation from being a good job, because the government always offered benefits.
That's wild.
But now it's standard. Like, who's going to work somewhere that doesn't pay benefits? We even have laws now where companies, if you don't pay benefits, you have a certain amount of employees, there's a tax liability if you don't do that. I think that's where remote work is going. While right now people like Kaleem said are playing with hybrid, and hybrid, the pandemic had posted us 10 years is where hybrid would have been 10 years from where that started. So we were like 25 to 30 years out from being fully remote. But now it's becoming a standard. People go in to apply for jobs and their first question is I have to come into your office?
Yeah, how many days?
How many days? And so now that's the same thing with insurance. It's now starting to become the standard, and it's becoming the competitive advantage for getting top talent.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, a lot of companies, when there was that shift happening at the end of the, I can't say pandemic, at the end of quarantine is more accurate, right?
Yeah.
Companies were drawing that line. Am I remote or am I not? And then you had the companies in the middle saying hybrid. And I love that you mentioned, hybrid being weird, but let me answer the question too. My answer is obviously no. I do have some stats. So I want to point out that LinkedIn reported just today. So let me back up because I'm getting excited.
You are excited. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the energy. Bring it. Yes. Don't tame it. Bring it.
The first thing I want to point out is we're just in a weird period where the labor market in general is shifting. And remote work is part of the labor market. So let's be very clear about that, right? Let's not turn the bigger macroeconomic issue into a remote work issue. The labor market is changing. The economy is changing. And it's in a weird place where it's going down and it's coming up. It's going down and it's coming up. We're on an economic roller coaster because everybody thought that companies were going to post poor earnings this quarter. And a lot of companies are posting, surprisingly good earnings. We've seen so many layoffs because companies made bad decisions during the quarantine period, right? And are now having to adjust because of those bad decisions. So I just want to call out that they thought the labor market in general was going to be super low. And LinkedIn reported today, that 517,000 jobs were added in January. I'm going to say that one more time. 517,000 jobs were added in January. That's overall. So keep in mind that the expectations of what's happening in the economy, it's not necessarily working out that way. And I think a lot of people are like reading these articles, on LinkedIn or reading these articles on the internet, and keep in mind that media sells fear. That is what they sell.
Yeah, it definitely
Like
helps.
nobody wants to click on the happy-go-lucky articles, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to click on the gloom and doom articles. And so I will say that the Wall Street Journal earlier this year reported that LinkedIn is showing, smaller remote jobs, right? So
Yeah.
it's gone from, I think I wrote down 20.6% to 13%. So
Yeah.
you hear that, right? And remote jobs are going from 20% to 13% postings on LinkedIn per month. You hear that and you're like, dang, that's going away. That is going away, right? It is dwindling. But when we put this in perspective, right? 20% of what? To 13% of what? LinkedIn has, can y'all guess? Do me a favor. Guess in the comments how many job postings LinkedIn has overall every month. Now, why don't y'all take a guess?
I'm gonna say close to 1 million.
What do you say, Dethra?
I would say a few 100,000.
Yeah. Somebody said 100,000. Okay. LinkedIn posts about 3 million jobs a month.
Yes.
So
Give me the winner.
about,
Give me the winner. High winner.
So when we talk about it going from 20% to 13%, let's put this in numbers. That's 618,000 remote jobs to 396,000 remote jobs. How many do you need, friends?
Yeah. Well, the other thing you got to think about too is
how many postings do you need to get a job?
Yeah, the other thing you have to really think about too, it's the overall market, not just it went 13% is great because you got to think about how many that were posted before we're always worrying about today because we're always sucked into to today.
Yep.
You forget about yesterday. Well, that percentage of remote jobs was probably 2 or 3% before the pandemic, and now we've jumped up to
it was growing at an average of 4% pre-pandemic.
Right. So now we're up to 13, right? And then how many of those jobs you have to ask yourself too, like how many of those jobs that are posted as in office every day, how long is it going to take for them to even be filled? Because when you look at the job applicants on, HR professional, you look at 2, 3, leadership wants it to happen, but people aren't just jumping to that. So I think the numbers are actually not the numbers of jobs, but the numbers of people who want those jobs. I think the market will fix itself. I think the demand will people are going to have to adjust their expectations. I mean, organizations are going to have to adjust their expectations.
I love one of the things you said. Sorry, Dethra, real quick. One of the things you said, it's the growth is higher than it was before the pandemic. So the three of us have already indicated remote jobs have always been here. So if you think about it like a circle, right? The circle was this small. And then, because there were always companies that were remote, always. And then the pandemic happened and that circle got like this big, right? It expanded, right?
Yeah.
And now that companies can say, well, I can go back into the office, it's contracted. But
it will
never be as small as it was
before.
It will never be as small as it was before the pandemic. It won't be as big as it was during the pandemic, but it definitely won't be as small as it was before, right?
Yeah. And not to mention startups that are being created today. The rate at which startups being created today that will be remote is much higher because VCs, we all know VCs and private equity firms are being a lot more cautious in investing in companies. So they're not going to want to see a company that has, 30% of their revenues tied into some sort of San Francisco or New York real estate place. So we also have to think about the new companies that are being created because there's so many companies that are always created in America, and America's mostly funded by small business, if I'm not mistaken. So, you have to think about over the years, how many startups today are going to be like, yes, let's commit our, $2 million of our VC money into lease real estate for only 2 years. So,
and that's the piece I was going to chime into with Kaleem, is that the numbers that we're talking about are often talking about quote unquote traditional companies. They really aren't taking into account these smaller firms that may be 20, 15, 100 people or less. Companies like mine, when I started, it wasn't an option. I never wanted my name on some big billboard in front of somebody's company, and they aren't tracking people like me. And I have about 50 consultants that work with me at any given time. So a lot of these numbers that you're talking about are talking about these larger firms. Also down to what Kaleem and both Libria were talking about is when you think about stats, we often, the media can use stats to make doom and gloom, like Libria said. Oh, only 22% of the US workforce is fully remote. Well, that only is compared to the 4% it was just a few years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about things growing. What is that number compared to the growth? Oh, it's only grown by this much. Well, how much has the labor market shrunk in comparison to the growth of remote workforce? So when we're talking about stats, we have to be mindful of what the stats really mean and what we're comparing it to versus what we think what someone is telling us the stats say.
Agreed. Go on, tell it all, right? Because here's the thing: there's the truth, there's the whole truth, and there's nothing but the truth, right? So the truth is the market is shrinking from 20% to 13%. The whole truth is that 20% of 3 million jobs to 13% of 3 million jobs, like, and then nothing but the truth is there are jobs, and it's more than there were pre-pandemic. So that said, there were already a lot of opportunities pre-pandemic. Like I said, I've been teaching people to land remote jobs since 2015, and I was doing that with a much smaller base of remote jobs, right? And so now there's a bigger base of remote jobs. There are opportunities out there. And, you know, Dethra, I love that you said that it doesn't take into account small businesses, and it doesn't take into account people who are doing freelancing and contracting and doing their own thing, right? It doesn't take that into account. So that actually, you know, goes really nicely into my next question for you all. So given the fact that the overall labor market is becoming, you know, more challenging, right? As there are less jobs available, those jobs become more competitive. I think the stat is, you know, 50% of the applications on LinkedIn are for the remote jobs, over 50%. People are like, oh, I see these jobs over here. I want those. I want these, right? So more people are competing for a smaller pool of jobs. And I'm going to say this one more time. When I say a smaller pool, we're talking about 400,000. Okay. So it's not 10 jobs that 50,000 people are applying for. So what do you think that people should be doing based on what we talked about today? What are the actionable steps that the people watching this video should start taking? And what are the things that people should start thinking about?
Can I start with this one? You mind, Kaleem?
Please do. Please do.
From especially as the HR professional here, the one that's been intricate, and so is Kaleem also, but intricate in the hiring processes at all levels. I think we don't do a good enough job of pitching what we want in a job. So what people will often do is say, I see that this job is posted remote and this job is not, and we will apply for the remote job. What we don't think about doing is applying for the non-remote job and pitching it as an opportunity, because I think Kaleem is right, is that we're going to see a market correction. And oftentimes organizations are looking for that person that comes in and says, let me show you what's happening. The reason this job is getting all the applicants and you have two is because everybody really wants to be remote work. So if we apply and then pitch this as an opportunity, the worst thing that can happen is we don't get the job and you already didn't have the job. The best thing that could happen is they could say, hey, we have a sucky pool. You're the best candidate in the pool. If this is what it takes to be a part of your total compensation package to get you over here, then perhaps it's something that we need to consider.
I love
That's
that.
interesting. I never even thought of that. Because it's what I like about that is, look, my family, my people's, my family, we want things quickly. Because I wasn't going to make a generalization about our community, but my family, my peoples in my family, we like to get things quickly, and sometimes taking a step back and getting the experience. Like if you want to be a UX designer, but you're an admin assistant, you need to take that UX designer that's on site to get that experience, to then be able to better yourself, to have a better chance of landing that gig. I also love the idea of taking that gig. And the reality is not very many companies are going to be like, you can't work from home 1 day a week. Like I feel like that 5 days, no questions asked, very rare. So you could, take that experience. I love that idea. Take that experience, work your way, start pitching. Hey, can I get some flexibility? Can I get some more flexibility? And maybe, just maybe, that job turns into the job that you were looking for before. So I love that. I do have to say this. I love remote work, obviously. You know, I think it is the next, I want to say, freedom. I want to say it's that ability to be, control your own time, to be able to control what it is that you're doing, how you're doing it, when you're doing it. That autonomy is infectious. And I think everybody experienced a lot more level of autonomy during the pandemic, and going back is difficult. But the downside to remote work is you become local, and now for some companies you're now global. So I do feel like, yes, as much as I love this idea, and I do believe that it is the future, you are now competing against people all over the world in certain jobs. And then even in other jobs, you're competing around, against other people, maybe outside of your city, outside of your town, maybe in your region, maybe just in the
So,
US.
I'm gonna cut you out because we're running out of time. What's the action you want people to take based on what you just said?
I would say just keep bettering yourself. Don't make it about the remote work. Do what Deetra's talking about. Action, come up with a career path plan, and make it more about your career versus like, is it remote or is it not? And then just maybe you take the remote path. But it's definitely about, because it's going to be more competitive. So you actually have to do more now, in my opinion. Agreed. I don't think it's, so yeah, career first, remote second.
Totally agree. I think that the landscape is going to be more competitive, right? And that goes for any job. Again, the overall labor market was expected to shift. It didn't this month, but still expected to. So you guys have to be more competitive. You have to be more intentional about how you apply for jobs, right? So a couple of the very pragmatic things I want you to do, practical things I want you to do is, number one, use the resources that are available to you in this community, right? So let's not half-ass our applications, right? Let's not half-ass updating our resume. Let's not sling stale resumes. I do not want you to create one resume and just hit apply, 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 apply. Now more than ever, you are going to have to put intentional work into your job applications. Number two, y'all cannot keep running from LinkedIn. You better get in there and start networking. And you need to start networking before you really need these people, right? Network now. Start creating your community of people that can help you move and get places now. Have a list of companies you would love to work for. Even if they're not hiring for your roles right now, start following them, start following, their talent acquisition people, and specifically the people who are in the roles that you want to be in, right? Because if I'm a project manager, it's easy to connect with and network with other project managers. It's easy to do. So start networking now, guys, right? This is a great time to do that. This is also a great time to start thinking about, do I want to pivot careers, right? This is a really, really good time to start investing in learning new things, right? Either stacking on top of the things that you already know. So if you're a project manager and you got a PMP certification, now's a good time to go get that Scrum certification and start doing agile work, right? So start stacking your experience and or shifting to learn new things. It's a great time to decide, you know what, maybe I want to learn to be a developer. Maybe I want to learn to be a UX designer. Maybe I want to get into instructional design. So now's a really good time also to start building your toolkit. I think the last thing I'll call out is now is also a good time to start thinking about freelancing and contracting. It's a really good time to start taking matters into your own hands. And you can you can do this multiple ways. You can take a leap or you can do it part-time, right? So if you're like, the economy looking real shady, I ain't really ready to make those kind of leaps, you can stay where you are and start doing some freelancing on the side. I think Hannah Dixon has another free virtual assistant challenge starting on Monday, and we'll give you the links to that. Go to it. It's free. Check it out. See what she's talking about. She's helped over 30,000 people create a life of freedom as virtual assistants. And when I say virtual assistant, I don't mean like administrative assistant. I mean people that do production, video production, people that manage projects for people like Dethra and myself, event management, You know, there's one young lady who she designs like music for people's YouTube videos. That's what she does with her own, and she does it on her own time. So now is a really great time to start thinking about freelancing and or changing careers. So use this time. If you're worried about the job market, then shift your focus to building your own skill set and developing yourself, right? But
personal brand too.
And your personal brand, right. Start making a name for yourself. So this is not the time to buy into the fear. That's not what this is. Even if you believe that things have slowed and you don't want to play the game of being super competitive, then start investing in yourself, right? Those are your two options. Get more competitive, play the game, or start investing in yourself. So when you're ready to get on the market, you have everything that you need to do that.
I want to chime in really quickly before you end, Libria, is Kaleem put something in the chat. He said side hustle can turn to full-time jobs. I will tell you, I am networked with small business owners, I put that in quotation marks, who are literally billionaires. Every single, well, only 2 of them are billionaires, so I don't want y'all to think I have a whole bunch of billionaire friends. And they're married to each other. But what I will say is, I don't know, of the many entrepreneurs I know, and I know several, over 90% of those people started out with a side hustle. It was, let me do this on the side and see how this works. And that side hustle became, including myself, it became so expansive that it was like, I have to make a decision. Either I'm going to keep this 9 to 5 or I'm going to go with this. So do not begrudge the side hustle, because most entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, started out with a 9 to 5 and side hustled it until they were like, you know what? This side hustle, this is kind of,
I'm still side hustling. And the way I look at that is, my employer is my investor.
Oh, right? That was you that told me that. I was going to use that. I used one of your other lines too on something else. I can't remember what it was, but
you better give me my
yes.
But yeah, my employer is my investor, right? So we always complain about we can't go out and get VC investment. We can't go out and get investors to put money into our business. Listen, I ain't knocking having a full-time job and side hustling, because now my paycheck is my investment in my company, right?
I always say that my employer, when I was employed, was my number one client, because I tell people, you are a multi-billion-dollar organization and your career is your product. And so my employer was my one and top client.
Excellent. I hope y'all went to the session with Dethra on Tuesday about running your career like a business. She just hit that again. You are a multi-million-dollar business. This has been a great conversation. I'm so glad to have y'all here. I'm gonna throw it out there. Does anybody have any questions? All 3 of us have to go. We really only had 30 minutes for this, and we all have hard stops, and I'm actually missing a meeting at my day job for this. But I'm gonna give y'all a chance to ask one question. Anybody have a question? Going once. Y'all better type that thing fast.
Don't be shy. Don't
like
be shy.
Bueller. And in.
Okay, so I'm going to post the replay. It'll be available for 24 hours in the community, and then in the full access community, it'll be posted for longer. Hell, I might put this on YouTube because it's really good. This was a great conversation. Love having you. I got to have you guys back for something else, because it's just fun to talk to y'all. Thank you guys for joining. Thanks for being here. And is remote work going away? Hell no.
Hells no. Hell no.
Hell no. All right, y'all. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great weekend.